Big Al's Rant with Cayden McFarland, powered by Jack Cassee Ford.
Mic check, mic check. That 2-minute warning lesson. I hope my battery's still working on my
batteries.
Holy
May not
cow.
be working anymore.
Welcome to the Rant, ladies and gentlemen. Cayden McFarland, Al Jerkins with you. We're at halftime with Carolina leading the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, subject number one, tough subject obviously to talk about, what transpired at Oklahoma State yesterday. Many agree that it's the greatest homecoming in the country.
Sure.
They really get after it. They put a lot of attention to it. They give a lot of attention to their homecoming. And what happened yesterday, obviously a tragedy. They played the football game before almost 60,000 folks. Yeah. And, you know, folks tell me that it just wasn't the same. The noise level was not the same. The fans tried to do their best. Bullitt tried to do his best.
They rallied,
and
as they
rallied,
do, but
right.
it had to be somber. They were grieving, absolutely. You heard Mike Gundy and players, and Glenn Spencer especially, say, look, we'd have been okay if they had just called this thing off. That's an impossible decision to make, correct?
Yes.
Is there a right decision you can make? You know, so many people in town, so many things ride on these games. Boy, I'm glad I wasn't the one making that decision.
I think it went beyond the economic aspect of it. Because folks were there, you know, would you be able to make up this game at another date, those kind of things. I still think that the right decision was made to play.
Sure. Perhaps
it got people's minds off it for just a little bit.
Hope so.
But you're right. I thought Glenn Spencer was very emotional. Here's a coach that you know, lost his first wife on the Saturday of a game that his team was supposed to play, and obviously he couldn't be there. And so I think he had more experience with these kind of situations more than anyone, and he did not want to play this football game yesterday. You could just tell. And you know, when asked, you know, does this help in the healing process, and he said, you know, perhaps it does, but the folks that are in the hospital and the folks that lost loved ones, I don't know if they so much cared about OSU playing a football game.
Glenn Spencer was the most poignant, but I was so impressed with what everybody had to say. Mike Gundy, Glenn Spencer, we heard from David Glidden, who I thought was terrific, giving perspective to this thing and what it was like going through it, being part of the Stillwater community, being an Oklahoman as he is, and then playing this game and feeling like, look, our hearts aren't completely in this thing, but let's focus, let's do our very best, let's be professional about this, and
try to
hopefully
represent
give people,
Stillwater,
that's right,
who supported us for all those years.
We've got some of that sound, actually, several OSU players and coaches. Let's go and run that and hear from those guys. I thought they were great after the ball game.
We were in football meetings. When I found out about it, the first thing you do is you go call and find out where your family is. Football all of a sudden doesn't become very important. There's just nothing you can say. I mean, it just has to be the absolute worst thing that can happen to a family and loved ones.
We just kind of did what we did, and there really was no answers. We hurt. We recognized it was a great tragedy, and you play a football game. I mean, to be honest with you, it wouldn't have upset me if they would have said, we're not playing today. But we did, and the kids went out and played the game. Come on now. So forgive me, but you know, everything else, pretty minimal.
I mean, Coach Gundy addressed it before the game. You know, it was talked about, I guess, that the game may not even be played or whatever the case was. But I think our guys really responded, and I think they wanted to play the game for this community, and because the amount of love and passion that goes around here it's special.
Just kind of caught off guard with, you know, could that really happen? You know, on especially on homecoming when it's such a festive day, and you know, I think we all kind of, you know, rallied around as a group and, and wanted to come out and perform and provide some joy for the fans.
Tragic accident like this is there's just no, you know, like like you said, there's no positive spin on it, and so for us to be able to maybe, you know, have some kind of impact for just a few hours to help, you know, even if it's just one person who needs their pain, and it made today all worth it.
I know one thing that Glenn Spencer did mention after the game. He said, you know, one thing, I hope our guys learned a lesson from this, not only dealing with tragedy, but, you know, the circumstances surrounding it. May have been an alcohol-related situation, those kind of things. And you know, just stay off the road when when you're in that kind of a situation.
Whatever it was that impaired her, likely impaired her. I tell you, we put so much time and effort into this, don't we? And we come on every single week and talk about these games and these teams over and over and over. And it is, it's good to be reminded of how precious life is and what really matters. And so we do have fun with this stuff, and we will again, but my goodness, your heart goes out to everybody there in Stillwater and the OSU community.
You know, in Oklahoma State, unfortunately, they've had experience in dealing
a lot of
with tragedies such as this.
14 years ago.
And you don't want to say, well, you know, they're used to it. You can't say that. Do they know how to respond to it? Who knows?
I think they do know how to respond to it.
But, you know, another tragedy hits Oklahoma State University. You know, and I'm sure on down the road, they'll be talking about how do we handle homecoming from this point on.
Sure.
Do we downplay it more? Do we just keep on going and don't let something like this hinder what's been a celebration for all these years?
Sure.
I know those questions will have to be asked and have to be answered.
Yeah. And now this team's got to play a game next week. This team is 7-0 for only the 4th time in program history. And now they've got to find a way to, you know, get themselves in that frame of mind again and go on the road and play Texas Tech. And yeah, it's amazing because it happened to this football team 4 years ago when they had the best team probably in school history, and ended up losing the Iowa State game that night, the night after Kurt Budke was killed in a plane crash. Now they got to deal with it in season again. So
wow,
not easy.
Yep. Well, OU found their running game yesterday in their game against Texas Tech. And let me preface all of this by saying, and I don't want to downgrade the OU effort, the Texas Tech's offense is pitiful. It's horrendous. It's just agony to watch. But Sanchez sprains his ankle on the first play. Just a sprained ankle, by the way.
Right. Precaution.
All right. But it was good to see P. Ryan get on track. This is Bixon's touchdown, but I thought the first touchdown run by P. Ryan was taking out frustration of a rushing game for all season long.
It was impressive, wasn't it?
That was a pretty good shot. Now, this is after Stryker's interception,
right,
which was a one-handed number, by the way. But look at this run provided by Samaje P. Ryan. And you tell me if this wasn't frustration all boiled up into one, he was going to get to the end zone.
Yes,
that was the best run of the year.
You know, you used the word frustration, and Barry Trammell asked him about that yesterday. And he looked at him like, I haven't been frustrated at all. We're winning ball games. And with him, you actually believe it. I mean, this guy ran for 1,700 yards and 21 touchdowns as a freshman. This offensive line has given him so little help this season. Before yesterday, he had only run for about 400 yards this season. He had yet to run for as much as he ran for in a single game last year against Kansas. To see him break out was certainly a good thing. And you're right, Texas Tech's run defense is no good at all. But I don't think these Sooners run for 405 yards and 6 touchdowns, even against Texas Tech, let's say 4 or 5 weeks ago. I do think the offensive line is playing a little bit better.
They put emphasis on their running game.
They did.
And yeah.
And they needed to.
And they'll do it again because Kansas is just as bad, if not worse, than Texas Tech, especially against the run. And then it's Iowa State. So OU, do they have 2 breathers? Well, we've said that before when Texas. But they go to Lawrence next week for the bye week. I mean, Jayhawks. And then it's Iowa State, and then the real schedule begins.
It's crazy how things can turn, right? It was just a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the Texas game and thought, my goodness, this team could go 7-5. Now you score 55 against K-State, you score 63 against Texas Tech, and Baylor's quarterback has a broken bone in his neck. We don't know what that means or how long he'll be out.
Still playing in the fourth quarter, by the way.
But if Baylor doesn't have its starting quarterback in Seth Russell, boy, OU right now, today, has to feel like we've got as good a shot as anybody at winning this Big 12.
All right, we need to take a break. We'll be back with much more right after this on The Rant. Stay with us. We're at halftime.